So, when it comes to the nature of reality, at the end of the day, everything that is external that can be experienced has to be experienced from the inside, from the internal, right? That is the whole idea of everything comes from within. You will only ever experience the entire outside world from inside, even if I go into dream states, lucid dreams, or even I psychically connect or astral project or whatever, any of those things. That's all internal anyway. It's stuff that's inside. And everything you know about the world is all from your internal consciousness, your internal perspective, your internal vessel. So the idea is that your inner world meets the outer world, or is one with the outer world, in the sense that really that kind of barrier or line that you have between the inner world and the outer world is, it kind of doesn't exist. It's kind of just, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So if I am thinking, I mean, that's the crazy thing, is everything originates from that, right? So that's kind of one of the, if not the highest perspectives, the most bird's eye view perspective of what reality is and what we perceive it as and how we experience it. At the end of the day, it's always just you. But, I mean, that being said, there's so many different experiences and laws that you have to play with, right? It's not just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still physical reality. And there are rules that you have to live by. Then you think about, well, if there's manifestation involved, there's intention, right? I'm still trying to figure out where the desire fits into all this, where desire originates. It's been a question I've had for probably over a year. But, also just thinking about, like, well, when you manifest, what are you trying to manifest? What do you want? What do I want? Because really, if it really is just like, this is all an internal world anyway. Because another thing too is the perspective of light. If you're looking at light or photons, that's when they become particles. Otherwise, they're waves. But then you think about the way that, beings from the other side, maybe, this is all theory, but if they're coming through in light, it's because they can kind of just come, like, light is how you come through from the other side, kind of thing. And so, well, that being said, I mean, light can be subjective for anybody. It's the same thing as my blue is not the same as yours. My concepts might not be the same as yours. Really, I mean, thinking about it, like even just looking at things in that sense could be completely different to somebody else. My version of myself, what I see all the time, that's just my perspective of it. But unless someone else kind of validates that version of myself, I guess, then who's to say what they see? Really, I mean, it kind of just becomes completely subjective at that point. But, you know, that's besides the point. You know, when you're thinking of this whole experience and how it's just you anyway, but then there's also waves, energy, power emitting from everybody, and that's what manifests their experience. But then that's also what's in communication with the photons as well that you're perceiving, and the world that you are receiving back, basically. And the stronger waves are what cancel out weaker waves, because there's more momentum there, there's more power there. And so when those waves kind of, I guess, communicate with whatever it is that this outside world is, even though it's not necessarily real, that's how you kind of create your experience. So it's like, that's how you're verifying, not even verifying, but it's more just like, that's how the world and life is coming from you and not coming at you. So you can be the master of your fate. You can learn all of these manifestation, control, reality type of things to a point, right? Because at some point, I mean, if you really think about it, if you're enlightened enough to control reality to the point where you can just like snap your fingers and the mountains move from here to here or whatever, if you're that enlightened, why would you even want that to happen? How many wants would you even really have? But that gets back to what even really is wanting. What is desire? I mean, is it of the soul? Is it divine to want or desire things? Or is it only of the flesh? And of course there's desires of the flesh. Those aren't what I'm talking about. But that also gets into the idea of like, well, if none of this is real outside, if you're seeking validation, you're seeking information outside of yourself, it's all outside of yourself. But all of that stuff that's outside of yourself is inside, and it doesn't become outside until you are able to perceive it or be exposed to it to a certain degree within yourself, inside, in your inner world. And then it reflects back outside. But if your whole concept of reality and the world is based off of beliefs, and your beliefs are what create your reality, that in and of itself is a belief. That is a belief, and that is, it's like, it's a concept. Like believing that beliefs create your reality is a belief. So then what's beyond that? If we're really analyzing beliefs here. So the question really does become, what do I want? What do I desire? And why? Why, essentially? And where does that come from? That's kind of, I guess, I mean, that's in a nutshell, that's kind of what I'm talking about, is just, what is desire? What is wanting? What is longing for something? But and then it's like, what if you get to a point, or what if you just are at a point where it's like you don't want anything? There's nothing left to want. Because really, if you think about it, you want things, you get everything you want, hypothetically, and then you get bored. And then there's nothing left to want. Or you're just never satisfied, and it's a never-ending, endless thing that you're just always wanting more. But then at that point, it becomes kind of like a fault, or a sin, for lack of a better word, of being human. Like, it's kind of like gluttony or greed. So then, what's the point in really wanting anything at that point? But of course, that's also subjective too, because people want different things. But then the very action of wanting something is the exact opposite of having it, right? But how does this all fit together? How do we have the fact that this entire reality outside of ourselves is not real and only ever originates from within ourselves because of our subjective perspective, where it's impossible for us to experience anything outside of ourselves, and only from within our body, right? Our consciousness, our perspective. But that, in knowing that, also allows, along with knowing other things, for things like manifestation and controlling reality and bringing things in willingly, with free will, right? And so, yeah, then it really is just, it's just, what do you want and why? And where does it come from? What, where, and why? You can even throw in how in there. How do you want that? How do we want? I don't know. I don't know the answers to this stuff. This is all kind of new, too. Very separate things that I'm trying to figure out and piece together. But that's another thing, too, is like the idea of knowledge and information, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, that's endless, too. There's no completion point. This is not going to be like a moment where I finally have figured out everything and I know everything. There will always be things that I don't know, where, of course, the circle of what you know, as that gets bigger, there's more that you don't know. And it continues on forever in this infinite universe that's infinite internally and externally. It goes infinitely both ways. And it really gets down to the point of like, well, if all of this is true, if these are really the conclusions we're getting to, I don't even know if the question is what is the point. It's more of the fact that there is no point. There is no point. But then it's like, well, if there's no meaning, there's no point. You make your own meaning, sure. But what's the point in even doing that? What's the point in making your own meaning? Especially when there isn't any to begin with. But again, is the question even what is the point? When obviously there isn't one? Because at the end of the day, I guess it's really not any of that. It's just the fact that we're here. We're here. This is here. Whether or not the external reality exists or is real or not, or the internal reality is awakened or not, or whatever. Everything is. Anyone who's watching this, that it is, you know what I mean? Like it is there. We're here. We're doing this. So then it's like, well, what are you gonna do with that? What do you do from there? Is it really about what you want to do? Is it about what you don't want to do? None of this matters anyway, so like it's just it's kind of like this just endless loop of meaning and meaninglessness. And the idea of existence and the absence of non-existence. Because at the end of the day, we exist. And existence exists. And there's no such thing as non-existence when existence exists. And then you think about like, well, if we have free will, you can do what you will, right? I don't know. Doesn't seem like an easy conclusion or an easy wrap up. I think this is just kind of an open-ended topic and concept that I don't think I can figure out right now. And maybe it's not meant to be figured out. It's just one of those things that will never be figured out. Whether or not I figure it out or someone else figures it out or never or whatever. It just, I don't know. Kind of just trying to ask the right questions about the right things. Because when you do that, the universe delivers. I found that to be true. And then it's like, why are there laws to the universe? Why does that even happen? But then, does the why even matter? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'd be very curious about this stuff. Maybe you have perspectives and gaps in my thinking that I just don't have or I'm not aware of. So let me know.